Okay, boys and girls, here we go with another couple chapters of War with Grandpa. Today, we are continuing to talk about theme. We're making predictions about how the story is going to continue, and we are also really quite busy wondering about how Peter's changing, right? Is he growing? Is he learning? Is he growing up? What can we learn from the changes that we're seeing in Peter? So we are going to get all this lined up for you. Here we go. So we are going to read chapters 30 and 31. So get your book out, get your materials, and I might be referring to your retail summary for sure. We always take a look at our evidence collection box. When we left off last time, we had recorded that we were at the turning point, and Peter, the text-based detail that was super important to us was that Peter realizes war isn't funny. Okay, so that was the huge clue, if you will. We talked about this in small group a lot. This is the clue that we are at the turning point. Something's going to change. Now, that doesn't mean that it's a nice, clean, the turn, and then we're heading toward improvement. You get to the turning point, things start to shift a little, but we know that it's a little confusing. We've got conflicting information too. Peter can't quite give up on his fight with Grandpa, his war. That was what we talked about yesterday. That was the most confusing thing for everybody, is that he realizes war isn't funny, but he still took Grandpa's watch. That really gave everybody something to think about. All right, let's keep reading and see what happens next. Okay, so chapter 30. Right around then, when I was waiting for the other shoe to drop, a peculiar thing happened. It was a rainy Sunday. Mom was in the kitchen, and the whole house smelled terrific. Jenny was helping. After a while, Jenny must have helped too much, because Mom sent her out of the kitchen. Grandpa was sitting in the living room with me, and Dad was upstairs taking a nap. Next thing Grandpa and I knew, Jenny came walking into the room with my Monopoly game. My Monopoly game with all the pieces and cards hidden away by Grandpa. "Let's play," Jenny said, and she set the game down on the coffee table. Grandpa said, kind of coughing. "Where'd you get that?" I said. I acted like I was mad. "From your toy cabinet," Jenny said, "where you always keep it." She began to open the box. Can you imagine what she's going to find, everybody? I stopped her by putting my hand on top of it. Like, oh no. "Don't you ask permission to go into my room and steal my game?" I said real loud. Jenny looked at me in a funny way. "What do you mean, steal it? Here it is. I think we should play Monopoly. You, me, and Grandpa." "That's a stupid idea," I said. Jenny blinked her eyes at me. "What is the matter with you, Peter? You're acting funny." "I don't want to play Monopoly." "Okay," I said. "I have my rights, you know, and if a person doesn't want to play Monopoly, a person can't be forced against his will. So I'll just put the game away." Well, I didn't expect Jenny to jerk the box away, but she did, and then she opened it. "I'll play with Grandpa then," she said, "if you're going to be so mean." I looked at Grandpa, and he looked at me. We both knew what was coming next. Are you making a prediction, everybody? In your mind, what is coming next? I think we know. She's going to make a discovery. "Hey," she says, "where are all the pieces and cards and stuff?" Jenny asked. "There's just a Monopoly board and nothing else in the box." Well, there was a very long and embarrassing silence. Jenny stared at me and at Grandpa. I couldn't think of what to say. Grandpa began to whistle. And then Jenny found the note I had stupidly left in the box. Uh-oh. What is she going to find? "Two can play at this game," she read aloud, "but you can't play this game now. Signed, the old man? She looked mystified. Who's the old man? She asked. And why are the pieces missing? Well, I said, there's a perfectly simple explanation. Jenny waited. I waited too, because I couldn't think of a perfectly simple explanation. Something fishy is going on here, Jenny said. Grandpa cleared his throat. You both know about this and I don't, Jenny said. Are you the old man in the note? Grandpa, are you playing a trick on Peter? Me, Grandpa said. Me? Don't be silly. Why would I play a trick on Peter? Jenny thought about that for no more than a second. It's you, Grandpa. That's why you look so guilty. I wish you would tell me. You know I can't keep a secret. Stuff and nonsense, Grandpa said in a huffy way, like he was being insulted. One of Pete's friends did this, I'll bet. Isn't that right, Pete? Huh? I said, yeah, right. Who? Asked Jenny. The older one, Grandpa said. That's right, I said. Steve did it. He's a lot older than me, and sometimes he calls himself the old man. Steve isn't a whole lot older than you, Jenny said. She would make a great detective, I was thinking. Sure he is, I said. Months and months. So where did Steve hide all the Monopoly pieces? Jenny said. Why don't you go get them, Peter, so we can play? Okay? Well, I said. You go upstairs and get them, Pete, said Grandpa, who stood up from the couch, and I'll just step up to my room and get me a sweater. It's kind of chilly in here. Now I understood what was happening. So I ran up to my room like I was getting the Monopoly stuff, and Grandpa retrieved it from wherever he had hidden it. I met him outside my old room. A narrow escape there, he said, and he handed me a plastic bag with all the Monopoly stuff in it. And I handed him back his watch. Oh, well, look at what happened here, everybody. Are you surprised? Let's reread that. Now I understood what was happening, so I ran up to my room like I was getting the Monopoly stuff while Grandpa retrieved it from wherever he had hidden it. I met him outside my old room. A narrow escape there, he said. He handed me a plastic bag with all the Monopoly stuff in it. And I, Peter, handed him back his watch. Wow. Thanks, he said, and he slipped the watch back on his wrist. This doesn't mean I'm giving up, I told him. Of course not, said Grandpa. And I still owe you one, I believe. I'm going to drop the other shoe any day now. Remember, dropping the other shoe means he's going to get him back. He wants to do payback because Peter took the watch. Then we went downstairs and we played Monopoly with Jenny until dinner time. Okay, so, when the book said that Grandpa gave back the Monopoly pieces and Peter gave back the watch, I made a prediction. Did you make a prediction too? I was thinking that Peter is going to make peace with Grandpa. I think that because they're being so agreeable with each other, they're being nice to each other. They each figured out they had to get those game pieces back, and Peter actually grabbed the watch and returned it to Grandpa. So I think they're on their way. I think Peter's still changing. I think there's hope for them to become more agreeable, okay? And I'm not sure. It seems like Grandpa still told Peter that he still is going to, his expression is drop the other shoe, okay? And so we know that is Grandpa saying, I'm going to get you back. I will have my revenge because you took my watch. And the root word here, venge, means to punish, okay? And again is what means. It means to do it again. Like if you reread, you read a book again, right? Like we're rereading some passages today. And so Grandpa wants to punish and have revenge again against Peter. So we will see how that happens if it comes up in the next chapter. So we will leave that word up there. We're going to think about that vocabulary word as we continue to read. And remember, more and more, Peter is sure that war isn't funny. So I think we are confirming that we're past the turning point. Now we're just waiting for the author to, we always call it tie up loose ends, to finish up all the things we've been predicting and wondering about. So we're confirming predictions as we read, and the author's giving us a little more information to work with. Okay? All right. So we're going to continue reading. We are now reading chapter 31. Keeping in mind our vocabulary word here, revenge. When it happened, oh, I wonder if they're revenge, if that's what they're talking about. Interesting. Let's keep reading. When it happened, I wasn't ready for it, of course. It was an ordinary Wednesday in the middle of the week, a school day. The first thing I noticed was my clock radio alarm hadn't gone off at the right time. I always get up at 7 o'clock, and it was already 7:15. I leaped out of bed, tangling my feet in the blanket and falling on the floor. Next thing I noticed was that my slippers were gone. I always leave them right alongside the bed when I go to sleep. Why weren't they there? Is this sounding familiar to you guys? I wonder if this is Grandpa getting his revenge. Maybe. Gotta scoot the book up here. I wasted a minute or two looking for them under the bed and in my closet. That's when it hit me. Oh, look, this was Grandpa's revenge. Now, this morning, why, that's why the clock was late and my slippers were gone. I rushed off to the bathroom in my bare feet to wash my face and brush my teeth. No toothbrush. It simply wasn't there. In the plastic water glass on the sink was a note. Oh, look, here's Peter in his jammies. Use your finger, it said. Oh, what a furzy trick. I stood there like a dummy, half of me wanting to run down to the hall closet where Mom kept a few new toothbrushes, and half of me not wanting to waste the time because I was already behind schedule. I put toothpaste on my finger, look at him, and I brushed my teeth with it. It was disgusting. I ran back to my room in a hurry. I hate being late for anything. I hate being late for school most of all. When I opened my underwear drawer, it was empty. There was another note. This one said, underwear in hall closet. I ran outside into the hall. There was all my underwear up on a shelf. I grabbed shorts and a t-shirt and I ran back to my room and I put them on. That's when I looked in my sock drawer. It was empty too. Now I was mad. In a panic, yes, but mad as well. The note in my sock drawer said, socks in cabinet under bathroom sink. I groaned and said a couple of words I shouldn't use. Grandpa was turning my getting dressed into a treasure hunt. I ran to the bathroom again, and I looked under the sink in the cabinet. There were my rolled up socks scattered among the ivory soap, rolls of toilet paper, and a bottle of Mr. Clean. I grabbed a pair of socks and I ran back to my room to put them on. By now, I figured that Grandpa's dirty tricks weren't over yet. I was right. All of my flannel shirts hanging on hangers in my closet were still hanging there, but they had been turned inside out. I grabbed one, I fixed it, and I put it on. Naturally, I buttoned it wrong, and I had to rebutton it. My jeans hanging on a hook by a belt loop were inside out too. I fixed them and put them on. Then I saw my belt was missing. The heck with it, I thought. I was too late to worry about a little thing like a belt. I stood there staring down, my mouth hanging open, like the sneakers were hanging open. I heard my mom calling up from the bottom of the stairs, Peter, you're late, sweetie. Inside one sneaker was a note. Laces on the kitchen countertop. I stuck my feet into the sneakers and I tried to run downstairs. I couldn't. Without laces, the sneakers kept slipping around, so I had to walk like a crazy man to keep them on my feet. I came downstairs slowly. In the second floor hallway, Grandpa had his head stuck out the door of my room. He was laughing. "Hey, Pete," he called to me. "How's it going this morning?" "It's not funny," I said. "War is hell," is what Grandpa said back. He laughed again, which only made me madder. Okay, so let's take a pause there for a minute. Oh my goodness. We know that Grandpa's trying to teach Peter a lesson. I made a prediction before saying that I thought Peter was going to make peace with Grandpa. But now that Grandpa has had his revenge, I'm wondering. I know Peter thinks war is bad. He realizes it's not funny, and he's sure not having a good experience now. Think about that. And we'll talk about this also in small group too. Think about that. I'm wondering, Grandpa knows that war isn't fun. He's trying to help Peter understand that. I'm still thinking this confirms my prediction that Peter is going to make peace with Grandpa, because this is not fun at all. It's not funny. Okay, so we just have a couple pages left. We're going to keep reading. I finally made it to the kitchen. I flip-flopped across the floor in my loose sneakers and practically fell into my chair at the table. "Peter," my mom said, "why did you leave your sneaker laces on the kitchen counter?" I took a big gulp of the orange juice that was in front of my bowl of cereal. "Did you want me to wash your shoelaces?" Mom said. She looked really puzzled. "No, it was a joke." I started to eat my Cheerios real fast. Jenny was already finished with her breakfast. "You're really late, Peter," she said. "I know it, dummy," I shouted at her. She looked at me like I was crazy, which maybe I was a little. "I'd better put your laces back in while you finish your breakfast," Mom said. I slipped my sneakers off, which wasn't hard to do, and Mom, she sat down beside me and relaced them for me. I'd had enough breakfast by this time. I was mad and upset and not hungry. I took the sneaker Mom had relaced and put it on, and I tied it. She was still working on the other one. "Could you try to hurry?" I said. The front door slammed shut, which was Jenny leaving the house. At least she wasn't going to be late to school. "I don't understand why you left your laces down here," Mom said. She handed me the other sneaker and I put it on. Then I lit out, running for the stairs, and zoomed up to my room like a bullet. I was ready to find out that Grandpa had hidden my knapsack, but there it was right by my desk. The only thing was, it was empty. My books were missing. Uh-oh. Inside the knapsack was another stupid joke. Books inside luggage in storage room down the hall. Inside the knapsack, I already read that. I ran like crazy to the room where we stored the luggage. Grandpa was so devilish. I wanted to hit him on the head with the suitcase. He had put one book in each piece of luggage. Oh my goodness, so much work. I had to unzip every one of them to get back all of my books. I stuffed my books into the knapsack, and then I ran downstairs to the coat closet. I grabbed my jacket, threw it on, and dashed out the door. It's 6 blocks from my house to school. I ran and ran till I was out of breath, then I walked as fast as I could. As I rounded the corner near school, I could see that the schoolyard was empty, which meant all the classes were lining up or were going upstairs to their rooms already. I ran across the schoolyard, and just as I got to the entrance, I remembered something. I had forgotten my lunch. I ran upstairs, got to my class just as Mr. Pangalos, my homeroom teacher, was calling the roll. I was so out of breath that when he called my name, I could barely say, "Here." Steve looked across at me and asked why I was so late. You wouldn't believe it if I told you, I said. And that's the end of chapter 31, which is where we're going to stop reading today. So, we have experienced Grandpa's revenge. Okay? He surprised Peter. I think Peter was worried about what was going to happen. But boy, this was really some event, right? All of his things were hiding, right from his socks to his toothbrush, even his books. His backpack was empty and his books were hiding. He had to work. I think one of the funniest ones was his shoelaces, because it's hard to walk without your shoelaces. Okay. So think about all the things he did. We know that now his friends are asking him about why he was late. And we also know that his friends like to encourage him to keep fighting and keep seeking revenge himself. So I am wondering, as we make text-based predictions here, okay, about the end of the story, that we really, based on what we know in the past, his friends like to encourage him to keep fighting, keep pranking Grandpa. Okay. Grandpa he really sought his revenge here by seeking to punish him more deeply. Okay. So as I make predictions, I wonder if he's going to tell Grandpa. I really do. I wonder if he will actually tell his friends about Grandpa's pranks. And then what will happen? Will they encourage him to retaliate? Will they encourage him to seek revenge as well? I want you thinking about that. And we're going to talk about that. Okay. It's important to stop and make predictions. Remember, we're always either confirming that our predictions were right and we keep reading, or we adjust them with new learning. So we have a lot to think about. Okay. Want you to do that today and every day when you're reading. Always engage in the story and make predictions as you're reading. We'll talk about this again soon, and we will continue to see how the relationship grows between Peter and Grandpa.